Time to take you through the grid for the second and final Junior Rotax Heat of the Golden Trophy. Ollie Wise starts from pole position. He'll be joined on the front row by Cameron Nelson once again. Grid as what it was for heat number one, based on the results from qualifying. Maxime Becker and Liam Hallo will be rounding out row two. Matiko Behitze and Will Archer round out row three, with Bran van der Weken and Albi Lapper on row four. Ryan Gandor and Vince van der Holle round out the top 10. Lars Lambers and Archie Lovett round out row six, ahead of Albert Friend and Eddie Dogan, with Tom Reger and Sebastian Brand rounding out row eight. Lenny Hobiolagash and Maxence Leblé round out the top 18 positions, with Boris Verhaag and Len Abbas rounding out the top 20. Theo Gilito, Ethan Griffiths, Emily Siedkowska, Lieke van Berkel and AJ Berggraaf round out the 25 strong grid. So Cameron Nelson was given a 5-second push to pass in the race, which was won by Sam Pollitt Racing's Will Archer. Can he do it again? Can Lightning strike twice once more for the 261, who took the lead on lap 2 at turn 2? We had multiple front-fairing penalties. 11 of them in total were handed out. So, Mr. Langendries saying, "Kom op, Bran." So, Bran van der Weken getting more cheers in the chat. So, if you are watching along, and there's over 210 of you doing so at the minute, please let us know who you are supporting here for this year's Golden Trophy. So, once again, we have the red lights on the starting gantry. The drivers, some of which are weaving from side to side. Sometimes that does parlay into checking the steering. Some might also want to try and get a little bit of additional degree or two of temperature into the Mojo wet weather tyres. But once again, we are primed and ready. 25 drivers set to go into battle over 10 minutes plus an additional lap here at this circuit. So it's down to Ollie Wise and Cameron Nelson to control the pace. They look like they're ready to go for it. Here we go. No, we're not. Well, it's always down to the discretion of our race director, Manuel Branco, if that race start is going to occur. De Grieskens saying go Lars Lambers. Lars starting in the inside of row number 6. So once again, drivers will have to get themselves into position. Maxime Becker will want to have better than a 19th place finish. Maybe a top 3 or a top 5 could help in terms of moving him up the order, in terms of the final classification after the heats. Of course, with the seniors, a very different situation in the fact that we have one more race to go, and with groups A and B yet to fulfill their 2 races. Group C are in, as I said a little bit earlier on, in for a wait, because we have this and 2 more races to go before, once everything has been ratified, that we will know who will be the top 36 out of 42 senior Rotax drivers here this weekend that will go into the final at 4 p.m. this afternoon, thereby curtailing the racing action. So we now have to get ourselves primed and ready. And, well, the thing is, Cameron Nelson needs to get quickly alongside Ollie Wise. Right, here we go. Let's see. As it revs up, lights out. This time we do go racing. And once again, Will Archer was the first to try and make a move on this particular occasion. But there's a little bit of a calamity. One driver's hit the water splash on the outskirts of turn number 2. We've had another couple of turnarounds. 296, Bran van der Weken. Albert Friend, 219. But it's Cameron Nelson that hits the front of the field. Ollie Wise this time held his ground. But a better start this time to the 256. And that is Liam Hallor just behind him. Will Archer now up into 4th place. Maxime Becker is behind Albie Lapper at the minute as the rest of the field try and make their way through turn number 8 on the opening lap of this race. And, well, Liam Hallor getting Will Archer swarming all over his rear bumper as the field makes its way through in towards turns 11 and 12. And now Ollie Wise has got a little bit of an opportunity here, but in the meantime, Will Archer dispatches Liam Hallor very quickly. And along with that goes Albie Lapper. And there's been a few drivers dropping down the order. Oh no, Mate Kobahidze down 15 places. Bran van der Weken the most effective. Has been the most affected by it. Ollie Wise tried round the outside of Cameron Nelson at turn 4, and Will Archer threw his right hand into the mix. He threw a haymaker at them, and they all three of them had to scrabble for traction. Albie Lapper defending from Maxime Becker in the meantime. Ryan Gandor ahead of Lars Lambers in the battle for P7. Then we've got Theo Gilito, who's up 12 places from 21st, now 9th. Boris Verhaag now up 9 places to 10th. Cameron Nelson keeps it on the racing line. Now, for those folks at home, you might be able to see there is a little bit of track evolution now starting to come in. 209, Robio Lagache gets through on Boris Verhaag. Now, Ollie Wise has to be very, very shrewd with what he does now and just play the game. Play the strategy how you want to run this race. Meantime, Albie Lapper has just fired it through on Will Archer. Maxime Becker looking around the outside of the 261. That's going to be very, very close. But now into turn 5. Archer goes for it. Becker to his inside into turn 6. Oh, well, this is going to be very, very close indeed. Will Archer round the outside. And he got wheel to wheel with Becker into the approach into turn 7. Had to back out of it. Ryan Gandor then capitalised and got through. They could nearly be 3 wide. Becker loses out to Gandor. Nearly loses out to Archer again. Now Archer through at turn number 9. He's going to run Becker a little bit wide, and Becker on the grass, 2 wheels, sideways, holds it together. Great control from the youngster from Germany. But in the meantime, Cameron Nelson is now trying to do the same as what Will Archer did earlier on in the first heat. And he's pulled a gap of 1.3 seconds on Ollie Wise, Albie Lapper, Ryan Gandor and Will Archer round out the top 5. They've got Lars Lambers and probably a very, very heated and fired up Maxime Becker in the 255. Not that far behind. Liam Hallor, Theo Gilito and Lenny Robio Lagache round out the top 10. It's now at that point where the drivers are still having to fight for every single point. So Cameron Nelson at the minute would not... Okay, so Cameron Nelson at the moment has 88 points. Cameron Nelson. Ollie Wise, 85. But, oh, well, that's very, very brave by a certain Liam Hallor up the inside of Maxime Becker. through turn 11. Now that's nearly opening the floodgates because they've got Giluto and Robio Legash right with them. And it looks like Alor's going to lose out to the two other countrymen in that particular occasion, and they both get through. So Lenny and Theo get through on Liam, and on that particular occasion, 3 French drivers having a little bit of a tete-a-tete, so to speak. But Will Archer trying to do everything to get through. Liam Halor tries to get through on one of the French drivers, gets through on Giluto, and then has Robio Legash right in front. So 4.5 minutes to go. In the meantime, 2.27. Vince van der Halle gets through on Boris Verhaag. I think that's Len Abbas, I believe, just behind them. And the 204, that is correct. And nice little livery on Len Abbas's car. I know that Mac 1 do like their interesting liveries, let's say. Well, it's actually the Croc Promotion. That's RF Racing. So drivers still battling away. And finally, Will Archer gets through on Ryan Gandor at that particular point. And Lars Lambers also tries to get through on the youngster from Canada. And I've just seen Cameron Nelson has been given a 5-second time penalty for using runoff area number 1. That's off of turn 2. 5-second penalty. So it's time for Cameron Nelson to open up the taps on that 241 Lando Norris chassis and go put in qualifying style laps. And looking at what he's taken, well, the 3/10 he took out of Ollie Wise in the opening sector has just been taken away. Lars Lambers through on Robio Legash. They nearly clash going through out of turn number 10, and it's 3 wide coming out of 11. And Lambers is still to the inside. Hello! Goes around and nearly spins into the tyre barriers off of turn number 10. God, that was very, very close. The slightest of glances when it comes to a slight touch between sidewalls can spin a rear-wheel drive car around very, very quickly. Luckily enough, Robio Legash is being literally not assaulted from all sides, but is between a rock and a hard place at the moment because Lars Lambers has got through for the minute. Robio Legash is going to the inside. Lambers gives the French driver a little bit of a squeeze, and Van der Halen gives Robio Legash the assist. Bumping over the curbs through the exit of turn 7 goes Lambers. Back axle goes up and down and slams onto the ground quite significantly. So maybe Lars's back might be suffering a little bit after that hefty impact. And you can see now the racing line. The laps are reflecting what we have in terms of the lap times being set by drivers. But Albi Lapper closing on Ollie Wise for second place. Black and white warning flag being shown to Lenny Robio Legash. So at the moment, well, the gap now between Cameron Nelson, because Albi Lapper is starting to battle with Ollie Wise. He's got another 2 seconds to find. So once they get through down the Europelan and break the timing beam, 27.9 for Cameron Nelson. Ollie Wise, 28.1. That gap is now going to be about 3.3¼ seconds. The battle still waging on between the likes of Liam Allor, Lars Lambers, Boris Verhaag, Vince van der Halen, Lenny Robio Legash. They have really, really started fighting amongst themselves. That gap that Cameron Nelson did gain in Sector 1 has been eroded by Ollie Wise in Sector 2. So 2 laps remain. 3.4 seconds is the difference between Ollie Wise in P2 and Cameron Nelson in the race lead. So Ollie Wise at the moment, if he does pick up the win based on the 5-second time penalty post-race for Cameron Nelson, then he might have an opportunity here. Cameron Nelson, if he picks up a 5-second time penalty, that will still put him P3, and that will put him on 79 points. Ollie Wise, if he takes the win, that's 91 points for him. Well, the timer has expired. We've got one more lap to go, and it was 4/10 that Cameron Nelson took out of Ollie Wise. And it's a tenth and a bit, so half a second has gone the way of Cameron Nelson. And Cameron Nelson has been quick through sector 3, which is the run from midway down the straight between turns 9 and 10. As we go on to the final lap, what's the gap between first and second? It's 3.75. That's not enough. Cameron Nelson must be praying for a miracle right about now, because if Albi Lapper manages to get through, that will give a little bit of comfort, but not take away any of the disappointment for Cameron Nelson, who's just about to go through. He's just gone through the opening sector, and he's a tenth and a half quicker. That puts it at 3.9. That's not going to be enough, because we're fast running out of laps and corners. So Cameron Nelson breaks the timing beam, 21.1 in sector 2. Ollie Wise, 20.9. So into the final corner, he's going to take the checkered flag as the leader on the road, but a 5-second time penalty demotes Cameron Nelson from the race win. And out of the final corner, what's the distance? 3.85 seconds. And with a 5-second runoff penalty for Cameron Nelson, Ollie Wise takes the provisional win in race 2, in heat 2, ahead of Albi Lapper. Cameron Nelson will be demoted to 3rd place. And by my provisional calculations, I think that might put Ollie Wise on provisional pole. Albi Lapper will be alongside him on the front row with a combined score of 88. Cameron Nelson wins it on the road, but the penalty takes it away from him, I'm afraid. And that will mean that Ollie Wise will be promoted to the race win. Albi Lapper 2nd, Cameron Nelson in 3rd. Will Archer rounds out the top 4 ahead of Ryan Gandor. Maxime Becker this time finishes a more credible P6 despite having dramas of his own to contend with. Vince van der Hollen, Liam Hallor, Lenny Robillot Lagache, Lars Lambers, they round out the top 10 places. Mate Kobahidze finished 9th in in heat 1, finishes 11th in heat 2, so that will probably put him round about top 10, top 12. Boris Verhaag, Theo Giluto, Len Abbas and AJ Bergeraff round out the top 15. Bergeraff starting from the last, finishing 15th. Tom Hedger, Archie Lovett, Albert Friend, Ethan Griffiths, Bran van der Weken, Le Bleu Maxence, Erin Nodogan, Sebastian Brandt, Emre Siedkowska and Lika van Berkel round out the finishing order, with all drivers making it to the checkered.